What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. My name's Kyle. It's Friday evening. We're going to be going over the AFC and NFC Conference Championships this weekend. Both those games are on Sunday. We'll open up the DraftKings Sportsbook. We'll take a peek at some of the things and kind of get you guys set up for what you need. It looks like we got a fun question in the chat from our guy, Ron. Ron's asking for, it looks like a dynasty trade here. He's saying, which side wins? Amon-Ra, St. Brown, John Mechie, and the 110, or Drake London, Terrace Marshall, the 103, and the 2024 late second. I think I got to go with Drake London, Terrace Marshall, the 103, and the 2024 late second because, one, I mean, I love Amon-Ra St. Brown, but you're getting a pretty damn good receiver in Drake London who might actually turn out to be better. And who knows, the Falcons' quarterback situation could improve this coming off season, and Terrace Marshall is kind of like a throw-in, but the fact that you get the 103, my man, oh my goodness. And I want to show you, I've been starting to put out some of the dynasty content on the fantasyfellowship.com. I just want to show you where to find it. If you hover over content tab, I do have some dynasty rankings in here, and then I did put in some rookie rankings. So these are just my tentative rookie rankings. So like the 103, you're probably not going to get the best player, Bijan Robinson, but Quentin Johnson might fall to 3, Jahmyr Gibbs, so you can get the second best running back, or basically your pick of Quentin Johnson, Jahmyr Gibbs, or one of the quarterbacks. So I think I value that 103 very highly, and I'm going to go. And you also get a 2024 late second, which could yield some good players. There's going to be some running backs and wide receivers in that late second round range that can do some good things for you. So good question, Ron. I'm going to go with the Drake London and the draft pick side. And check out some of the stuff I got on. Again, it's just the 2023 rookie rankings tab. I have a bunch of stuff there for you guys. And then I did put out some dynasty rankings there too. So if you want to check those out, see what I got going for you. But anyways, this weekend, we have 2 amazing games, the 49ers at the Philadelphia Eagles. We're opening up the DraftKings Sportsbook here, and it looks like Eagles by 2.5. That is the line so far. And then the money line, 150 for the Eagles plus 130 for the Niners. The game's at about 46.5. I'm kind of, if I'm betting on these, I do like kind of the under. We did see both teams, one of the best defenses in the league. This is in terms of total fantasy points allowed. So you see the Eagles were the 6th best. 49ers were the 5th. And there are 3 top 10 defenses playing this weekend, and the Chiefs are actually the worst team defensively in this weekend. So, hey, no problem, Ron. Thanks for hanging out, man. And I can't wait. I'm kind of still taking some time off, but we're going to get pumping with the dynasty content and start prepping for the free agency and just starting to look towards the 2023 season. So we're moving and grooving there. But like I said, both really good defenses in this one. We do have the 49ers who want to run the ball, but both running backs kind of banged up. So I'm leaning towards the under being an interesting investment this weekend. And I do like the Eagles, but at that point, I'd rather just take the money line minus 150. I think that interests me a little bit more. But let's click into this game and see if we can dig up a couple other extra stats for you guys. In terms of touchdown scorer, you probably have to consider the 49ers to run the ball with McCaffrey. And then I do want to show the Eagles, one of the worst teams. They're not like awful against the run. They're decent, but they do rank middle of the road here. They allowed 12 touchdowns, 1,500 yards on the ground, and they allowed a decent amount of receiving receptions and yards and touchdowns to the backfield here. So it is a good spot for Christian McCaffrey. So I think he's an interesting option to score. You probably got to go with Jalen Hurts. AJ Brown, my bad. He didn't play a lot last weekend. They were kind of just taking it easy with him. He could have played, but I think they're just being smart. Didn't really need him out there in the Giants game. But I mean, the fact that Devonta Smith is down here at plus 170, like he's been the better player the last couple months. So I think if Hurts is going to throw one, it's either to Goddard or Devonta Smith. But honestly, you could take a stab at all 3 of these guys here. So I think all 3 are in play. Sanders, I'm not super excited about that. The 49ers are the number 1 team against the running back. They've only allowed 7 touchdowns all year. So I'm going to probably fade against that. And again, you see the Eagles give up 12 touchdowns plus 3 receiving. So 15 touchdowns in 17 games. Pretty good odds there. 49ers haven't even allowed a touchdown to the running back in the regular season. So I'm probably staying away from Miles Sanders in that one. And then on the 49ers side, if McCaffrey gets one. That's great. If there's going to be a throwing touchdown, though, it's Debo, Kittle, and Ayuk. These are the three that we're interested in. In terms of the points allowed from the Eagles, one of the better teams against wide receiver. We love that trio of cornerbacks here, but they did allow 16 touchdowns to the wide receivers this year. And then in terms of the tight end, let's see, 49ers were they're pretty good against tight end. They've only allowed 4 touchdowns, top 10 team against the position. I'm thinking I'm probably not going to bet on either of these guys, Debo, Kittle, or Ayuk. I think it's CMC or bust. And then I do like the Eagles offensive playmakers. Let's look at the passing props in this one. Hurts and Purdy both sitting at 1.5, and everyone's taking the under because, again, these teams love to run the ball. Passing yards, probably going to stay away from these two. It looks like people are kind of leaning towards the under on that as well. I tend to agree. Completions, interesting. I mean, we saw last week, Hurts didn't need to throw the ball very much, but in a game where we expect a heavy run script from both teams, really. Maybe more so, the 49ers are going to run the ball a lot. Maybe the Eagles decide to pass the ball and kind of counter that. So I don't feel great about the completions on either side. Interceptions, they're saying Purdy's going to get an interception. I'm cool with that. Hurts, no interception on his end. And then passing and rushing, I'm probably going to stay away from that. Again, I have a feeling this game's going to eat a lot of clock because both teams like to run the ball. In terms of rushing yards, you have CMC, 58.5. People are taking that one there, so I think that's in play. I kind of like the Jalen Hurts, 46.5. We might see him get loose in this one. Again, we know they have a really good pass rush over in San Fran, so maybe he gets a little bit more happy with the legs. And again, I'm not interested in Gainwell or Sanders. I could even take the under. You can see people here are smashing the under on Sanders, so that's kind of where I stand there. Again, if you're watching this show, I always like to look at receptions before receiving yards because it paints a picture. They're saying the over on AJB with his 4.5. They're saying over on Ayuk at his 3.5. Dallas Goedert over as well, 4.5. Debo kind of even. Taking the under on Devonta, 5.5. Kittle, they're taking the over. I think I like that. If I'm taking a 49ers over here, I'm probably taking George Kittle to hit at least 3.5 receptions. And then, I mean, Goddard at 4.5 is pretty low. I wish Devonta was 4.5 here, but I'm leaning towards AJB and Goddard being the better plays at 4.5. I still think Devonta's going to get, maybe 4 or 5 catches. But again, I'm probably going to lean against that because he needs 6. And then looking at the yards, again, if they're going to give AJB 570, that's 1 or 2 big plays from him, and he can hit that. Taking the under on Ayuk, again, we don't like the passing matchup for the 49ers. So maybe, I guess, if you're interested, looking at those unders from Brock Purdy might be in play. Christian McCaffrey, he's probably going to – what was his number at? They don't have a line in for his receptions, but he's at 32.5 yards. He's probably going to be put at 4.5 receptions, something like that. I do think McCaffrey is going to be their leading receiver in terms of receptions. Goddard, I'm not feeling strongly either way on that. Again, I love Devonta Smith, but I'm open to taking the over here. George Kittle, again, if I'm going to take a 49ers over, it's going to be Kittle. So I guess that's how we're leaning. It's going to be Kittle, McCaffrey for the 49ers. And then A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert, Devonta Smith. That's how we're going to move the ball in this game. Now, let's see if we can whip up a really fun SGP for you guys. And again, this is Friday night. Check back with the website tomorrow. I'm probably going to add, a list of my favorite bets to the website. But anyways, same game parlay. I'm going to take the Eagles in this one, minus 155. I don't trust Brock Purdy on the road. It's really his first big road game of his career. I think he played against Seattle and maybe Arizona on the road, but this is a tough one. So I'm going to take the Eagles in a money line. If you don't like that, you don't have to do it. We're just throwing some things out there. I suppose you could throw in some anytime touchdown scorers. I don't tend to like to do that in SGPs. But Eagles points, sure, I'll take him over 14.5. And then once you start to SGP, that's where these numbers really start to come compound and get up to there. So 49ers at 11.5. I think you could probably get a touchdown and 2 field goals out of there. I definitely see them scoring at least 2. They're going to get at least 13 points in this one. So I'm going to take that 12.5 there. And then just that alone gets us to plus 105. So we're already in the green. And then let's see, Purdy passing yards. I have no problem potentially taking the under on 270 here. These are plus. I wish I could do the inverse here. Let me see Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts at 200, that's minus 380. Again, I think they're going to have to open up the playbook and pass the ball. So I like Hurts to throw. Let's see here. Anybody else that we could potentially do? What's CMC? I'll give CMC over 19.5 yards. So now we're at plus 205. I think at 5 picks, that's probably maxing it out for me. So cool. You put a 20-piece McNugget on that, you're going to get a payout of basically 3x. So not too bad. That's the SGP. Just have fun playing with that stuff. And that's it. It's a fun game. I just think the Eagles, man, Eagles are a really good blend of high octane offense. And the way the Eagles will win this game is if they were the best team in the first half of football all season. If they get out and have their normal first half that they have been having, that means they're going to be playing from a lead. And when they're playing from a lead, that means the 49ers are going to have to maybe abandon the run at some point. And if Brock Purdy turns the ball over, things like that, I think there's too many things going for the Philadelphia Eagles. Unless Christian McCaffrey just gets fed the ball and just balls out, but we'll see. But let's go into the Cincinnati Bengals and the Kansas City Chiefs. I want to recap real quick. These teams played each other earlier this year. Of course, everyone knows Joe Burrow is undefeated against the Chiefs in Mahomes. I think he's 3-0. But back in, I think it was week 13, Cincinnati 27, Kansas City 24. And in that game, Mahomes, not super efficient, 16-27, 223 yards and 1 touchdown. Pacheco got one in from the ground, and so did Mahomes. So at least Mahomes still got his 2 touchdowns. McKinnon had a good game on the ground, 8 for 51. As receivers, you see MVS 2 for 71, Kelsey 4 for 56. So they kind of limited Kelsey. Maybe we look at that again. Juju, minimal game. Nobody really broke out in that game. It was really the big MVS play that helped them put up a point at the end. But let's look at the Bengals. Joe Burrow, 25 of 31. And man, if he's going to be putting up, those completion percentage numbers, it's going to be over pretty quickly for the Chiefs. 286 and 2 touchdowns for Burrow. Joe Burrow even rushed for a touchdown. This was a Samaje Perine game, so I expect this to be a Joe Mixon game. That was where the success was. 21 carries for Samaje and 106 yards. Jamar Chase, 7 for 97. T. Higgins, 3 for 35 and a touchdown. 4 for 60 for Boyd. 6 for 49 for Perine. So, I mean, the numbers potentially for Mixon in that game, massive. That was 27 Perine touches. So I'm liking Mixon in this one. So let's get into it. Bengals Chiefs. I'm a lot of money starting to come into the Chiefs. I think I saw last night that this game was, as far as the spread goes, it zeroed out for a little bit, and now it's leaning back to the Chiefs as those practice reports come out and Patrick Mahomes is in full, all that stuff. So leaning towards Kansas City Chiefs being the better play here, but I do like the Bengals at plus 105, but I'm feeling kind of risky. I think the Bengals are going to walk into there and come out with the win. So that's where I'm leaning. As far as the over-under in this game, 48, that means that 24-27 game that we saw earlier in the year, that puts it at 51. So I'm kind of leaning the over in this game. This one should be a high octane game. Let's look at the touchdown scores. Let me go back to game lines here. Cincinnati and the Chiefs. Touchdown scores. Kelsey's an easy low-hanging fruit one. But again, the Bengals really stifled him. They took him out of the game. I think Joe Mixon's probably the guy that's going to score for the Bengals first. Otherwise, yeah, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, go with one of these 3 guys to score. I think you're going to have a good time. I really like Joe Mixon to score in this one, though. He's probably my favorite Bengal this weekend. So just stick with those 3, Mixon, Chase, and Higgins. As far as the Chiefs go, again, it's Kelsey, but don't count out McKinnon, man. McKinnon's been one of their best players just in that offense in general. And then after that, I really don't have a lot of confidence in some of the other touchdown bets here. Pacheco's kind of a fun wild card. Kadarius Toney's a fun wild card. So if you're feeling risky and you want to put a half a unit or whatever you can put on there, that's where I'm laying. But otherwise, it's Kelsey, McKinnon for the Chiefs, Mixon, Chase, and Higgins for touchdown scores. Passing props, let's look at that. I'm taking Joe Burrow over 1.5. I'm probably going to take Mahomes under 2.5 for passing touchdowns. Passing yards, again, I think it's going to be tough for Mahomes. He's not going to have a lot of time to throw. They're probably going to want to limit his step backs and his drop backs. So I'm kind of leaning towards the under. That's where the market is as well with minus 125. Joe Burrow kind of even here. Again, I'm expecting it to be a good Mixon day. 27 touches for Perine in that last game. So expect a heavy Mixon game as well. Interceptions, they're giving one to Mahomes slightly here, not to Joe Burrow though. I'm open to the Mahomes interception because who knows, playing in a discomforted ankle, might see a little bit, maybe just shades of a couple plays where maybe he's not himself. Rushing yards, I don't care for anybody else in this rushing yards besides Mixon. I like Mixon over 58.5. That's such low-hanging fruit. It's beaten down to minus 120, but you got to take that. Receiving yards, we always like to look at the receptions first. So let's see what sticks out here. Of course, Jamar Chase, people are taking the over at 6.5. People taking the over on Hayden Hurst, 3.5. I do like the over on McKinnon, 3.5. I I think Joe Mixon's going to go over 3.5 again. We saw Samaje Perine had 6 receptions in that game earlier this year. So Mixon, for him to hit 4, I like that. That's kind of low hanging fruit to me. MVS is a fun dark horse bet. I do like T. Higgins to get over 4.5. He'll get his 5 catches. And then Kelsey at 7.5. I think I'm going to go with the public here and go with the under. And then in terms of yards, I do like Hayden Hurst at 33.5. That one's fun. We'll take the Jamar Chase one. That one's going to be the most fun one. I do like Higgins, but he's been a low yards per catch guy lately. He's been getting receptions and touchdowns, just hasn't really had those big yardage outputs lately. And then Kelsey, 78.5. That does seem kind of high. He only caught 4 passes in that last game. So I'm leaning towards, if you're going to bet yards, it's Jamar Chase, probably Joe Mixon, maybe, but I like Joe Mixon's receptions more. Not really digging a lot of the yards here. So we'll kind of move on from that one. And then let's whip up a nice SGP for you guys here. Good old same game parlay. Let's see here. Sure, I'll take the Bengals plus 1.5 in this one just to kind of be safe. And then let's scroll on down here to the Bengals points. Bengals are going to score 2 touchdowns and a field goal at least. I feel confident in 16.5. So we'll put them at there. And then the Chiefs to go over a certain amount of points. Kind of the same thing. I think the Chiefs will find a way to score at least 17 points in this game. So both at 16.5, I feel confident in that. And then let's look at the Burrow alternate yards. Sure, I'll take 230 plus. Mahomes alternate yards. That's his straight up passing yards. Let's see. Mahomes at 250. Yeah, I think they're going to need to throw the ball. So I'll take Mahomes at 350. Now we're already at plus 310. And then where's my guy Mixon? Mixon alternate yards. Where is those Mixon? There we go. I mean, 45 is low hanging fruit. 55 is kind of fun. I'm just going to tap the 45 plus. And we just cooked up a 390. So you put a 20 piece on that one, it's going to pay out almost $100. So that's a 5Xer right there. So if you're feeling it, I highly recommend playing with these SGPs. You can kind of multiply a lot of these low hanging fruit bets and find something that gets you a pretty decent payout. So that's going to do it, guys. I'm super excited about this. The quality of football this weekend is going to be top notch. Bengals, Chiefs. I'm going to lean Bengals. I think they have the momentum. They have health on their side, especially at the quarterback position. That defense, Bengals defense might be the most underrated defense that we've seen play in the last few weeks here. So I really like what the Bengals are doing offensively and defensively. And they just put such a good game plan against Mahomes and Kelsey back in week 13. So I'm thinking I'm gonna put Eagles and the Bengals in the Super Bowl. And so since we get a week off of football games next weekend, I think I'm gonna start putting out some other fantasy content. Probably another dynasty video to update you guys on what's going on. And then I do want to get into my 2022 review where I kind of talk about my top 10 things I got right, top 10 things I got wrong. So we'll start to have some fun and get dialed back into the fantasy football aspect. But yeah, otherwise, enjoy the football this weekend, guys. We have a fun Super Bowl setting up here. Either way, no matter what the outcome is, it's going to be a good Super Bowl. I feel really good about these conference championship games. So take it easy. Have a great weekend. And thank you guys for your time. Have a good one. Peace.